How many titles in the Red Dead series have been released so far? What was the meta score of the games? In what year and for what platforms was each title released? What was their production budget and how much did they sell? And finally, how many hours does it take to finish each version of the games? Red Dead Revolver. Release year 2004. Release platforms, PS2, Xbox. Game meta, 7.4. Cost of production, unknown. Sell a 920.000 copies. Gameplay time. Story mode 7 hours. Side missions 1 hour. Complete the game 19 hours. Around 2000, Angel Studios, supervised by Capcom, was developing a game called Red Dead Revolver. The game was to be published by Capcom 2 years later. In 2002, Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of Rockstar, acquired Angel Studios and turned it into a subsidiary of Rockstar Games, renaming it Rockstar San Diego. After that, Rockstar Games executives began to review the newly acquired studio's projects to see what was worth keeping. A game set in a Western world caught their attention. But the problem was that the rights to the game belonged to Capcom. Rockstar Games eventually decided to invest in the game, and after buying the rights from Capcom, they handed over the development to Rockstar San Diego, or the former Angel Studios. The game told the story of a bounty hunter named Red, who was trying to avenge the murder of his parents. Like many third-person games of the time, Red was able to use various weapons and explosives, take cover behind most objects in the environment, and even duel with people during the game. Red Dead Revolver wasn't a bad game, but the main problem was that the game was made by Rockstar. If any other studio had made it, it would have been considered an acceptable or even good game, but according to critics and gamers, this game was a disappointing game compared to other games made by Rockstar. The game received an average score of 73, and it didn't even reach 1 million copies sold, which is not satisfactory for a new IP from Rockstar, but fortunately Rockstar saw a lot of potential in the Red Dead universe, which led to the creation of a masterpiece called Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption. Release year, 2010. Game meta, 95. Release platforms, PS3, Xbox 360 at launch, and PS4, PC, Nintendo Switch versions in 2024. Cost of production, about $100 million. Sales, 23 million copies, by the end of 2024. Game completion time, main story 18 hours, side missions, 8 hours, game plot, 46 hours. In 2005, Rockstar San Diego began work on the second installment of the Red Dead franchise. This time, their team, with approximately 800 people, was much larger than the first game, and Rockstar also had full oversight of the project from the beginning. A budget of about $100 million was set for the game, making Red Dead Redemption one of the most expensive games ever made. The developer's main goal was to create an open-world game set in the Wild West. Given the large number of people and sufficient budget, the game development team did a lot of research to create such a world, and was inspired by many real films and photos. The result is a dynamic and beautiful world in which the player can freely explore, complete side missions, and even enjoy natural scenery. The story of Red Dead Redemption is set in 1911. The story is about a character named John Marston. At first, we see John being arrested and separated from his family. The deal that the government offers him is relatively simple: he must hunt down all the remaining members of his old criminal group to be free. In terms of gameplay, story, and technical and visual graphics, we are dealing with a much better game than Red Dead Revolver. The Wild West world of Red Dead Redemption was highly praised by critics and gamers when it was released. The Deadeye mechanic was back, and overall, we witnessed more complete shooting mechanics. Also, the game's honor system changed based on the player's actions, and the game character's interactions with John were influenced by this system. An online multiplayer section was also included in the game, which was welcomed by gamers. Red Dead Redemption: Undead Nightmare. Release year, 2010. Game rating, 87. Release platforms, PS3, Xbox 360. Build cost, unknown. Sales, 2 million copies. Game completion time, main story 6 hours, side missions 2 hours, game plot 12 hours. Welcome to one of the strangest expansion packs in the history of the video game industry. Zombies in the Wild West. In the same year the game was released, Rockstar gave John a big surprise for fans. That was John's job change to zombie killing. That is, they really threw the meatballs at you. The story of Undead Nightmare begins when John returns home after completing his mission to herd cattle with his wife and son, and basically continue his normal life. But unfortunately, an epidemic has spread throughout the region that turns ordinary people into zombies. John also he encounters a family that is turned into zombies and intends to kill him. By tying Abigail and Jack hand and foot and locking them in the house, John finds his way to Blackwater. The idea of zombies in the world of Red Dead may not have even crossed the mind of the most optimistic fan of the game but the Rockstar San Diego team has used this story conflict so carefully and cautiously that it has made everyone admire the strange and illogical elements of this horror genre story model, and the humor created by the contrast of these fictional elements with the realistic nature of the game, along with references and sarcasm to political, social, and religious issues, show the peak of the genius of the writing team of this extraordinary work, and leave no room for any discussion or complaint about the story of the Undead Nightmare game. This game, like the original version, shone brightly and raised expectations for the next version of the series higher. Red Dead Redemption 2. Release year, 2018. Game meta, 97. Release platforms, PS4, Xbox One, PC. Production cost, $250 million. Sale, 67 million copies. Game completion time, main story, 50 hours, side missions, 33 hours, game plot, 157 hours. After the success of the first version of Red Dead Redemption, work on the second version began immediately. Naturally, expectations for the second version were greatly increased, and Rockstar had a more difficult task ahead of them than the previous version. With a budget that was 2 to 3 times larger and a time commitment of 8 years, they managed to do it well, giving us one of the most complete games in history. The game takes place in 1899, 12 years before the events of the previous version. The main character of the story has also changed, and we play the role of Arthur Morgan and his criminal gang. The critics' opinion of the game was excellent, so much so that it received a perfect score in most reviews, and with a score of 97 on the Metacritic site, it ranked 9th among the best computer games of all time. The gamers' reception was no less than the critics, so much so that the game became profitable in its first week of release, with sales of $700 million, and was able to earn twice its production budget within a few days. By the beginning of 2025, with sales of 67 million copies, it was the 7th best-selling game in history, and including the revenue from its online section, it is estimated that the game's sales have exceeded $5 billion. There is nothing but praise for the game. Beautiful and eye-catching graphics, excellent soundtrack, captivating story, and deep character development. The game world is beautiful and detailed, and the side missions are attractive and engaging. The best description of the game that can be read, I read it on the Gamifa website, which I would like to read to you from memory. It doesn't matter what style of game you like, or what franchise you are a die-hard fan of. It doesn't matter if you are a professional gamer or a novice. It doesn't even matter if you are interested in computer games or not. Red Dead Redemption 2 has come to make everyone, young and old, fall in love with itself and the wonderful world of video games. Red Dead Redemption 2 has come to teach all game companies, from large to independent. Red Dead Redemption 2 has come to make you fall in love with the violent world of the Wild West. If you are a story-oriented gamer, if you love crazy shootings, if you are fascinated by role-playing games, and even if you are a gamer you are not, do not deprive yourself of experiencing the unparalleled masterpiece of the 8th generation. The king of open world and western games, Red Dead Redemption 2.